What's up everybody, Ben and Beta here. And recently I completed a review of our 2023 Hyundai Tucson. It was a long-term update, one-year review, and in that review I mentioned that we had replaced a Tesla Model 3. And a user in a forum actually asked me, well, why did you do that? What made you make that change? So today I'm going to tell you why we switched from electric back to ICE. Before we get into the major reasons why we traded into Tesla for the Hyundai Tucson, I do want to talk about some of the things that I think are amazing about electric cars. And number one is the instant acceleration. I love the fact that when I push the pedal down any amount, the car starts moving immediately. This is something that I've not loved about ICE or internal combustion engine vehicles for a long time, and it's something I don't love about the Tucson. It does not have very good giddy up and go, and it is a little bit frustrating after having an electric car to go back to ICE and not have that throttle response that I had before. I would add though that like 0 to 60 times, I think top out for me at a certain point. I don't think I need to be any faster than a 4-second 0 to 60, and honestly anything like 5 to 7 seconds is just fine. If I can pass cars adequately and I can get on the freeway without causing an accident, I think that's good. I love the fact that I could charge at home. So in our townhouse, we actually have a charger here, and we've kept it even though we went back to ICE, but that was great to be able to charge anytime I wanted to at home. But recently I was watching a podcast by Tim and Jill on pickup truck plus SUV talk, and Jill had recently driven several electric vehicles, and she was talking about some things that she thought were important. And one of the things she mentioned was if you live in an apartment, you should definitely not get an electric vehicle. I think there's a caveat there. It depends on where you live. And I think the more important thing is to understand the charging situation in your state, in your city, and in your general area. In California, when we were there for 4 years, we lived in apartments. The first apartment we had with our Tesla had chargers in it, and we were able to charge anytime we wanted to. In the second place that we lived, they didn't have chargers directly inside of the building, but just a block down the street, there were some ChargePoint chargers, as well as some chargers at Target. So we had never had a problem charging. In fact, what we would often do is drive the car over, plug it in, and then we take a long walk, we do some work, and we come back several hours later, unplug the car, and bring it back and park it in our garage. That worked perfectly fine. So I would say it's not impossible to live with an electric vehicle and charge it if you live in an apartment. You just need to know your situation. Is it great to have something in your garage? Yes, but also remember there's an expense to that too, but it is pretty nice to never have to go to the gas station. So now that I told you about the reasons that I kind of miss having an electric vehicle, let's talk about why we actually made the switch. One reason for us was space. The Model 3 actually has a ton of space for a car because it has the frunk, has a pretty large trunk, has a good pass-through, but in the end we wanted a little bit more space to carry different items. Now we could have just gone with a Model Y and that would have given us more space. That was definitely an option. But there's a couple other reasons why we went back to ICE. The next reason for me was the phone-to-car experience. As far as unlocking the car, starting it, and leaving, Tesla has the best experience. There's no doubt about that. So using your phone as a key, they do it the best. But once you get in the car, to be honest with you, I kind of missed Android Auto and CarPlay, and that was one of the reasons why I wanted to go back to a car that had that. I also didn't love on the Tesla the fact that when you switched lanes, you had to reactivate autopilot every single time. In most other systems, that's not the case. If you switch lanes, it just kind of takes over again and you're ready to go. Those were some of the reasons why I wasn't really in love with the Tesla system. And again, other systems might be good on electric cars, but I had used the ones on some of the ICE vehicles and they work great. So I was kind of excited to go back to that. The next two reasons are probably a bit more specific to electric vehicles in general. Number one, we wanted something to do a little bit more exploration and getting kind of off-road than what the Tesla could do. And while there may be some options that are good off-road for electric vehicles, they're really expensive. So they were just out of the budget no matter what. That was one of the reasons why we went back to ICE, something that was going to be lighter and something that we could do multiple day trips and not have to worry whether or not we're going to get back. And maybe there'll be some really great solar charging options in the future for a vehicle when you're off-grid like that. But at least with a gas vehicle, I can just bring a gas can along and I can continue driving, no problem whatsoever. And the number one reason we switched back to ICE from the Tesla, for long trips, the Tesla, while very comfortable, added hours. As an example, we went back and forth from California several times, and in general, that journey can take between 18 and 20 hours, and we were trying to do it in one shot most of the time. And while 18 to 20 hours is a long drive for just one day, it is doable in a gas car. I was able to do it in the Model 3, but it would add anywhere between 2 and 4 hours for charging, and that's just a lot. An average stop at a gas station probably takes about 20 minutes. And if you plug in your electric vehicle and it's charging for 20 minutes, that's not bad. But a lot of times the charging needed more like 40 minutes. On top of that, the range was a little bit less in the Model 3 than it was in like the Hyundai Tucson. I could go further before needing to fill up. After a while, I got pretty used to where to stop on each leg to kind of make it with just the right amount of range. So then you have to look at where chargers are located. Even if it only took 20 minutes per charge, a lot of the chargers today aren't just right off the highway. You have to go pretty far to get to them, especially the ones that are non-Tesla. But even the Tesla ones in places like Green River, you have to go pretty far off the freeway to get to the charger. And that particular charger is only a 150 kilowatt charger, so it takes longer to charge, and there's only 8 of them, so they can be full when you get there, which is another problem with this infrastructure. I think someday if there's a charger at every single gas station along a big route like Highway 80, Highway 70, 76, whatever, this probably won't be a problem, but that isn't the case today. You can often go 100 miles before you'll see another charger, depending on where you are. So really it was a convenience thing for us. We plan to take quite a few longer trips in the next few years, and we wanted to make sure that those trips are going to be as easy as possible. So I don't regret switching back to ICE. I'm actually a pretty big supporter of solar and electric. I would love to put solar on my house at some point. I mean, it's pretty crazy. You can power things with the sun. But I think an electric vehicle needs to have either 600 miles of range or it needs to have the same infrastructure as gas to make those kind of be the same. So for us, those are the reasons we made the switch from the electric Tesla to an ICE vehicle, and now we're switching to a Tacoma so we can do even more fun things way off the grid, and we can just carry some gas with us and we'll be fine. In the end, you should look at the vehicle in your situation and decide what is best for you. I would say that electric vehicles are definitely fun to drive and there's nothing wrong with them, but if you're a long tripper, you might want to just consider that. So thanks for watching. Remember to hit that like and subscribe button. Live your life in beta, and we'll see you next time.